I'm reading a book at the moment, which is I'm going to go into one of my absolute top books, which is a book from Patrick Bet-David, which if you don't know who he is, he's absolutely exceptional and worth following. He's written a book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely, which talks a lot about choosing your enemies, but it also talks about these two, well, one of these elements, and I'm going to bring a second element with that. The first one is skills. My big mantra is that you spend 80% of your time on what you need right now and 20% of your time on what you need in the future. So if you want to be £1 million biller, you spend 80% of your time working out how you bill 300, 200, 150, 500, 1,000 or whatever the next stage gate for you is, and you spend 20% of your time on working out what the £1 million billers produce. The same story as if you want to be a leader and a manager, 80% of your time at the moment on getting to the criteria and skills that you want right now, and 20% of your time on the future you, the future, how you actually manage people and how you begin to get a level of understanding. You won't be able to apply it with immersion at the moment and experience, but you will be able to gain a level of knowledge and look for it in others when they're executing, if you're surrounded by those people. So the first one is, what are the 3 skills that you need to upgrade? What I don't want you to write down here is recruitment. What I don't want you to write down here is identifying talent. What I don't want you to write down here is digital marketing, because they are far too broad. And there is books and books and books on digital marketing, on recruitment, on all the sourcing, on recruitment as a whole. I want you to drill it down. And if you're going to put, I need to get better at sourcing talent, I want you to give a specific area of that. You can have sourcing talent and that would be fine. The problem is, for the recruiters around the table, if you go look at a book about hiring and sourcing talent, and the next recommendation I'm going to give you, it will not give you the information you need, because you already have that tools built into training, all those tools available with 15 steps. So what you need to do is, I need to get better at this particular area. I want you to drill down. Now, if you're on the other side and you're going to put something down like negotiation, perfect. Right? Because there's a lot of tools that you can find with regards to negotiation and understanding that. And if you go down the sourcing route, so something like you might put down sourcing because you're going to build on that process, and you may not know at the moment what you've got to come, but for the rest of them, probably other than Carl at this point, although you've seen the 15 steps, you're going to want to work on something particular rather than just say sourcing from there. So what are the 3 skills that you need to work on? Is it negotiation? Is it cold calling? Is it some level of sales? What do you need to do to break the back? Is it retainers, etc., etc.? Because those 3 skills are going to be incredibly important for your 80% right now of what you need to achieve in order to get to the next level. So Patrick Bet-David's recommendation is, and I'm going to go not verbatim here because I've only just read the book and I've not brought it in with me. You need to read at least 5 books on that topic to get to another level. You need to listen to as much as you can online to get to another level. So whether that be, I want to improve some area of sales, Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort, and focus in on that area. And if your particular area is negotiation, focus on negotiation. Don't get drawn into retainer pitching or anything else at that stage. Get that narrowed down, get that to level 2, and then go work on retainer pitching. Work on something implicitly and get it to a higher level. And then, coupled with obviously putting that into practice and immersion, that he then says, find a coach, find somebody to help you with it, find somebody to hold you accountable and to work with you on. And there's plenty of people in the business that if you perceive somebody has a certain skill, such as the ability to sell retainers, then you hammer down on that with them. Right? And you spend a lot of time going through with that individual on how to get it. What most people make a mistake on is that they do one retainer pitch training and then think that they're really good at retainer pitching. Whereas actually, retainer pitching takes over and over and over and over and over again. The hardest retainer is not your first one, it's your second, because you believe your first one was a fluke. But once you've sold your second, you're like, right, okay, I can do this now. Everyone always believes it's your first one. It's not. It's your second set retainer. Because your first one, you think, fuck, I've got help, I'm a manager. This might happen. It might have just all happened on a fluke basis. But it's your second one that's the hardest. So drill down into that detail. So you've got your 3 facets. Your reading material, it doesn't have to be books, you can go online, you can research, you can do X, Y, and Z. Second one is your online content, YouTube, your videos, your audio, and listening to things is a different way of learning. And then your stage 3 is your coaching, somebody to help you with it, somebody to implement, somebody to develop that, and then you're into your immersion and applying that, and then reversing back to your learning. 3 skills you need to upgrade. They should be focused on what's going to take you to another level right now, and I want you to be thinking about how you go about finding that. Because what you will get from managers is you need to improve this, your KPI ratios, you need to look at that, you need to look at this, but if you go looking for that information, you'll do it a lot better. And I've said this to a few of you already, but if you all paid for Steve yourselves, you would use Steve, and I mean sales Steve, a lot more than you do currently. But because the business pays for Steve, it's easy for you to go, yeah, this is this. Okay, fine. And it's a bit like with any session that you go to, if you're paying and you're investing your money in it, you will use it a lot more than if someone else is paying for it. And it doesn't matter what it is, that's the case, and that's unfortunately a fact. So what I would highly recommend is I'm not going to tell you to therefore go out there and find a sales Steve and go and pay him, but treat it like you're paying for it. The difference is you're paying for it with your time. And if you're going to spend an hour with Steve, you're going to get the most out of him as possible because he's obviously older than all of us, so he must have at least 20, 30 years on some of us, or some of you, should I say. Then get that information out of him. I'm spending time an hour with you, Steve. I'm going to beat the shit out of you, metaphorically, to get as much information out of you as possible. How can I improve? What should I do here? What should I do there? My focus, Steve, right now is retainer pitching. What can I do? Here's 10 fucking recorded calls of me trying to pitch a retainer. One of them was with Jack, one of them was with Halima, one of them was with Alex, and then here's a real one as well. What can I do to improve? And go all in on something, get that to level 2, and then focus on the next thing. Because it'll move the needle significantly. So, the next one is unfortunately, if you thought your 3 skills upgrade is incredibly hard, is your mindset upgrade. Now, depending on who you believe, recruitment is 80% mindset, 20% skill. You can work on your mindset. If you worked on your mindset a lot more, you would move your skill set a lot faster. Because if you work on your mindset, your skills will increase on the basis that you will learn quicker. And it's the same with marketing, same with internal talent, same with all of it. What are the 3 mindset upgrades that you need to focus on? I'm going to give you a perspective. What scares the shit out of you before you do it? What are you facing right now? I've talked about retainers, it could be that. I've talked about negotiation, it could be that. I've talked about, it could just be, I'm in a new job and I'm shit scared of picking up the phone. I haven't picked up the phone yet because I've been on lead sourcing, and when I do, I'm going to shit myself. I haven't spoken to anybody of a seniority in a managerial position, how I'm going to hold gravitas with somebody that's a senior person in recruitment to attract them to come to role selection. Whatever that mindset shift for you at the moment is, whatever you're scared of, that's what you need to write down, because that is the area you need to work on. And if it's fear of making the call, if it's fear of getting pushback on the call, whatever the level of fear is, if you work on that element of your game in your own head, your skill set will increase significantly. 1, because you'll get more emotion. 1, because you'll get more immersion. Because if the blocker that stops you from doing it and then gets removed, you'll then do more of it and you'll learn from it. And that is one of the key areas for a lot of people. And if you look at, particularly if you look at people like Halima, of the areas that I've worked with her on, it was more, let's not go through another retainer pitch, Halima. Let's work on the mindset. Let's work on why we're not doing X, why we're not achieving X. And that's what moves the needle significantly. My belief is that recruitment is 99% mindset, 1% skill. But there's loads of people that I'm sure would argue with me on that. So if you work on your mindset significantly, you make those changes, the bits that scare you, the bits that you haven't got executed on, and it could be, actually, part of my mindset is I don't train enough. And I can't hold myself accountable to training, and I don't know why that is. That could be part of your mindset. It doesn't have to be picking up the phone, it doesn't have to be having a conversation with the client. I can't actually push myself hard enough to get enough leads. I stop at my target, I stop below my target, I never hit what I want to hit, I never get to where I want to get to. And that is mindset. Right? One of my biggest blockers was when I joined what was B.W. Penn and now CSG. Before I joined that business, my best year was like 100k, and I'd never worked for a business where there was anybody billing over 110. Right, I joined this business, and there was guys there billing. I think the top biller was 210 or something like that when I joined it. In my first 6 months in that organisation, I billed over, I think it was about 156,000. And you'd be like, right, you've had your best 6 months ever, which is my best year ever, and I've only done it in 6 months. In the preceding 6 months, I finished on 212,000. So I should have repeated those numbers. But my skill set was clearly capable of doing the job because I'd already demonstrated that, and I was in a brand new job. When my motivation was high, my skill set was the lowest. But the thing that stopped me from going even further than that was mindset. Because in a good year in CSG, it was 200k. And I'd only done 156 in 6 months. So guarantee my foot went off the gas and I didn't push it any further. Now you could say, well, what skills do you need to work on, Alex? Fucking none of them. You need to work on your mindset, you need to work on your own belief, you need to work on your own standards, you need to work on what you think good is. Because if I had got 300k, I'd been top biller for that year within that business. I think. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I would have been a bigger penny, definitely. And it's all about mindset. So give that some serious thought.